Hello everyone, welcome back to Be the Whole You. My name is Gullveig. It is that time once again where we're going to take a look and see what Miss Luna is doing and use the tarot to get some additional information on how specifically we can apply the moon's energy and what she's doing at this particular time to serve our best and highest good. So let's take a look. This particular new moon in Scorpio is ultra potent. So not only is it Scorpio season, but on October 25th, the new moon, we also have a partial solar eclipse in Scorpio. So the sun is in Scorpio, the moon is in Scorpio, and it's at 1 degree as well. So that means that the number 1 in numerology is associated with the self. It's associated with new beginnings. It's associated with independence. Some might even say it could be associated with freedom. And it's aligned with the Magician card in the tarot. So like the self-made person, knowing that we have all the resources that we need in order to create the kind of life that we want and deserve. So this also is aligned with the South Node, which is about releasing the past. Scorpio medicine, first and foremost, is the medicine of transformation. So if there's anything that's really been sticky in our life, that's been, no matter it seems like what we do, how we pivot, it just keeps, the challenge, the issue just keeps being there. This is a really good moon to be working with to release the past. And even though it's the new moons are usually about new beginnings and it's about planting seeds of intention. This one is just as potent as far as making space for new beginnings. And it's going to last 6 months. Eclipses, whatever moon is associated with an eclipse, we could consider it to be like a supercharged new moon, or even the full moons that are associated with eclipses. These eclipses, their influence lasts for 6 months. So this reading, I am really, really interested and curious to see specifically what might we, it's already coming through. So specifically, what might we do, believe, or feel that will assist us in creating the transformations that would serve our best and highest good. And along with this intention, the intention is whoever's going to be watching this, that the messages that flow through, that the messages that are specifically pertinent to your situation, that they will be highlighted, that it'll be like a ding, 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 and you'll be like, oh yeah, that piece is for me. Yeah? Okay, so what might we do, believe, or feel that might assist us in using the Scorpio new moon energy and solar eclipse to create the transformations that are needed the most at this time with the most ease. All right, so we have 3 reversal cards and then the wheel card. That's really interesting. So the reversal cards, the very first one that comes up is the High Priestess. This is in association with our intuition. And then what comes after that, and I'm bringing this up now because I'm feeling like these cards are talking to each other. The Strength card is about our relationship between our higher self and our higher knowing and the ego self, the primal self. And then we have the Princess of Pentacles. It's about new beginnings, it's about luck, it's about wealth, and this is going to get into when we talk about Venus being in Scorpio. I think that this is really talking about that piece here. And then we have the Wheel card, which is about change. It's right side up, meaning that, what I'm getting from this is like the transformation is going to happen regardless of what we do. So I'm really glad that when we ask this question, that we ask specifically, what is it that we need to make this transformation the most graceful as possible? Because what I'm getting from the wheel card is like, change is on the way. And even if you did absolutely nothing, things are going to change. But our question is, how can we kind of like smooth the edges? How can we make this transformation as graceful and what I call titrated as possible, meaning that it's in sections that are digestible for us so we're not feeling overwhelmed. And then the last card, which is the resolution card, and it's very interesting. It's the Princess of Wands reversed. So everything, all of this, and I'm going to get into like what the meaning of these first few cards are in a second here. Really, it's about coming back to rebuilding our confidence. So the princess, the High Priestess card reversed and the Strength card is saying that there has been some experiences that have kind of taken us out at our knees. And I don't think that these are just experiences that have happened in the last 6 months. Some of these might have been happening in the last few years. And so the Strength card is saying that we have then dipped into like the ego self. And so there's fear, there's self-doubt. It's what I call the itty-bitty shitty committee, you know, the negative self-talk that is separating us from our inner knowing. Also, what's interesting too is that our question was, how do we make this transformation most graceful? And the High Priestess, I always look at her as being the guardian of the middle path. So when you study tarot, the more esoteric symbols and information of the tarot, we find that in the High Priestess card, what's being represented here is we have the pillars of justice and the pillars of mercy. That then there's a middle path that is a balance between the two. The pillar of justice, to go that route to self-actualization, to find unification with God is what it's called, is to perhaps go through a path that is full of austerity and discipline. It's very serious. But the path of mercy can also be the opposite extreme. It can be not enough discipline, or it can be all feels and no logic. So the middle path is the path where heart and mind find union. And the High Priestess, she's holding the Torah, that's the scroll that she's holding. And the ancient script that she's holding is essentially the guidebook on how to take this balanced middle path. And so we're being asked to delve into activities that will help ground us, keep our mind calm, and to allow us to see where we might be going into these extremes. So we might have had some experiences in the last few years that have made us go into extremes, and we have the infinity sign in the top of this here, and that's all about cycles. But also what I'm getting here is that with it being reversed, these cycles are feeling more like toxic loops that just seem like they continue to go no matter what it is that we do. And a lot of the cycles and a lot of the things that may have happened for a lot of us probably have impacted our wealth, or at least the way that we attract wealth. So for a lot of us, we may have had some job changes, career changes, perhaps we've had roommate changes, perhaps we've gone through relationship changes that have impacted us monetarily. We might be reinventing ourselves and asking ourselves, what do I want to do for the second time that I grow up? You know, like maybe we're reinventing our careers. But the Princess of Pentacles, the Pentacles are about wealth, livelihood, resources of all kinds, shelter, like physical, tangible resources. So we have had a lot of what I'm seeing here is that a lot of the challenges that may have happened that are impacting us the most are real tangible challenges that have either impacted our home, our wealth, our career, something of that nature, which has left us feeling ungrounded, anxious, and uncertain about the future. And that is why we may have been now sinking into the primal self, because the primal self is about keeping us alive. It's not a bad part of us. It's absolutely essential for us to function in this three-dimensional realm. However, when there is a disassociation between the primal self and the higher self, and that communication isn't happening, then that's when we end up making decisions that are out of a feeling of anxiety, despair, or just changing something, desperation, than making decisions that truly have the long game in view and are making decisions that truly will be sustainable for the long-term future. All of this, the changes, what it's asking for us is it's asking for us to make a new start that is based on, you got this. And even if life has taken us out at our knees and we've been left feeling uprooted, it's not a reflection on your capability. It's not a reflection maybe even of you at all. It may just be that the tides of your world is shifting, and that, yeah, you've been feeling a little seasick because not everything is in flux. But that doesn't necessarily have to mean anything about you as an individual. And that comes into Venus being at 2 degrees in Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio is incredibly intense, and along with this message, it will probably be asking many of us to reassess things like wealth, livelihood, our relationship to fun and pleasure. If life has gotten too serious, that can also affect our ability to attract what it is that we want in our life. And Venus is the planet of wealth and of beauty and relationships. It's the sacred feminine. And with it being in Scorpio, it's really asking us to, and at 2 degrees, which is relationships, number 2 is about how we relate, and it's also about duality, which is Scorpio's realm. There will probably be major transformation, and we will, in the next 6 months, I would put money on the fact that many of us will find the solutions that we seek that will create long-term change. And I'm going to get some more additional information on the Princess of Wands here, please. And along with this, the planet that's coming, that's popping out for me here in the the different alignments, is Mercury is in Libra at 22 degrees. And so this is also about building new relationships. Remember, the eclipse is at 1 degree in Scorpio, so this will also be a reflection of building a new relationship with ourselves. So there's a huge question here about what is it that we want. Part of the Princess of Wands reversed is believing that we're going to have to make compromises. And sometimes we do. But to assume that we will always have to make a compromise is something that can be really self-deprecating and can just squeeze the life out of our dreams. So the 3 cards that come up around this is we have the 8 of Pentacles, which again is about, this is about new habits, new resources, new skill sets. It can be a hobby as well as new professional skill sets, but it's right side up, meaning that the new skill sets and the new perspectives and the new habits and beliefs that we're building are things that are going to be very practical, very tangible, and are going to affect our external world. Then we have the 5 of Swords. 5 of Swords. And so this is a card that's very much about taking your ball and going home. So for some of us, we may be severing ties with either certain individuals, definitely with certain ways of being, and really asking ourselves to put ourselves first, not from a place of selfishness, not from a place necessarily of ego, but from a place of honoring yourself. I saw a thing in the back of somebody's car yesterday, and it made me laugh, and it said, "You can't do epic shit with basic people." And it made me laugh, but it not to be like, that one person's better than another, but if you're no longer aligned, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to throw them out of your heart, but if you're spending an inordinate amount of time with people who really aren't aligning with who you want to be and what kind of life you're wanting to build any longer, then it might be worth your while to make some space and to be spending more of your time with people who are more aligned with who you want to be and what kind of life you want to live. And this comes to the Devil reversed. So the Devil reverse card, in its reversal, I always look at this as being actually a more positive card in its reversal than when it's right side up. Because the individuals in the Devil card, their shackles are on so loose that they could just slip them off whenever they want. But the Devil has them believing that they're stuck. So when it's reversed, it's like the shackles just effortlessly fall off. So the work here is about taking a leap of faith and doing something that is fulfilling, or creating a habit that feels really good. And in doing so, we will inadvertently make a new relationship with ourselves, perhaps even change our perspective about wealth, or perhaps rebuilding a new relationship with money. And that will allow us to free ourselves from some of these perspectives and limiting beliefs and ways of being that are actually depleting us of our confidence as well as our inner knowing, disconnecting us from our inner knowing. So it's really about doing something that nurtures yourself. Anything else? On the whole aspect of money, there is a podcast that I created on Be the Whole You podcast on meeting the goddess money. It is a story that I channeled on the energy, the goddess of the spirit of money. And I've had a lot of really good feedback on it, that it has really helped people have a new perspective and heal their relationship with money. So if that is a part of your journey right now, and that seems to be something that is like coming up in your awareness, that will be worthwhile looking at, take a look at that podcast. It might help. It's only like 20 minutes long. Yeah, that's basically it. So thank you so much for joining me here. This partial solar eclipse is all about new beginnings. But what it's really doing is it's like digging a little hole for us to be able to plant that seed. So the seeds that you plant now may not come to fruition in the next 28 days, but that's because the seeds you're planting now are going to be growing trees, not necessarily flowers. These are going to be big plants and big plans that are going to last for a very long time to come. So give yourself patience, give yourself compassion, and do the things that feel good. If it feels like you're pushing, if it feels like you're forcing, Pluto is at 26 degrees in Capricorn, and it is squared this new moon, so that is a challenging aspect. So that gives us the kind of like the highlight, the stop sign, the yield sign of if it feels like if you're forcing, if it feels like you're pushing, if it feels like you're just gutting through something, that's probably a awareness that you are not coming from the divine highest self, you're coming from the primal self. And you might want to just ease up a little bit and take a look at, is there another way that you could be spending your time, or is there another way that you can achieve what it is that you want to achieve through a way that feels more graceful, especially if it's feeling overwhelming, or if it's feeling like it's burning you out. That's old paradigm. It's time to shift into a way that's not necessarily that it's easy, but it feels sustainable. It feels and it feels fulfilling. It doesn't feel like, oh, you have to drag yourself into it. So that's the overall theme here, is like change is really going to come from creating some very even small, maybe it might seem insignificant, but it's not going to be insignificant. It's going to be very small changes that are very practical in nature, that are real, even about like getting up 15 minutes early to meditate, or perhaps it's going to be about making some tough decisions on some relationships that you want to spend less time with, or perhaps it's about taking a look at what it is that you really want from your career and just going for what it is that you really want, not necessarily what you or your head says or anybody else says that you quote unquote should do. So definitely letting go of the shoulds. Don't should on yourself or anyone else. It's not a good look, and it's not very nice or polite. So let go of the shoulds and drop into the heart. And don't be afraid to make tough decisions if it feels like it honors you. And if it feels like, sometimes these tough decisions, the ones that are usually the most positive, are the ones where we know that afterwards we're just going to feel like there's much more space to breathe. Even if it's a tough conversation, even if it's a tough decision, if you have that knowing that afterwards you're going to feel so much better, that is a ding, ding, ding. Do it. Do it. Everyone, many blessings on this eclipse, many blessings on this Scorpio season. This is the time in which they say the veil is thinnest between the worlds. So this is a time in which, if you're doing any ancestral healing, if you're wanting to get messages from your divine highest self or whatever guides you work with, this is an excellent time to do that and to start preparing for what you want the next year to look like for you. So if you would like a reading, or if you're interested in getting any shamanic energy healing or inner child work, feel free to reach out at info@BeTheWholeYou.com with just the letter U. And I will see you guys back here in a couple weeks. I'm really looking forward to this next full moon. It's going to be a doozy. So many blessings, everyone, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.